Okay, this video goes with your guys' unit on Silk Road and other trade routes that you guys been working on. So we're going to first talk about the Silk Road and then the Trans-Sahara trade routes and then the Indian Ocean Basin, and then there's 3 videos that I want you guys to watch on all these trade routes done by John Green with his Crash Course History series. So first we need to understand that these are trade routes. They like to be called the Silk Road, but in reality they're trade routes. And again, I want you guys to understand that they're, not very few people went all the way across from one location to the next. I mean, nobody really goes from all the way from over here to over to here, or goes from here all the way around here and then goes all the way here. In most cases, you have traders going maybe 100 miles or so and then trading their products, and then another person takes that product and goes another 100 miles and so on. So it could take, almost a year to go from here all the way to here with these goods. Silk Road trade route area, land going across here. You're talking smaller items, precious metals, jewelry, gems, small bits of spices here and there, for the most part. Larger, bulkier items are going around this way, and then of course they're staying here, and then of course they're going over to Africa, and then from Africa they're shooting on up to the Mediterranean. So you've got 2 routes going on for what is considered the quote-unquote Silk Road, but it's really actually more than just one route. The first map showed the map of about 400. 400. This one's a 1300, and I bring it up because by this time most of northern Africa, almost all of northern Africa and the Middle East, is controlled by the Islamic faith, and while Europe up here obviously is still Christian. So Christianity had a hard time obviously getting their traded items through the Islamic world, and they didn't want to deal with Islam, or they didn't want to trade with Islamic traders. A lot of people didn't. Obviously, some people did. You also have the Crusades going on during this time period in the Middle East and so on. So a lot of Europeans are starting to look for routes to get around this, because this right here is a big, huge cultural obstacle for Europeans. And so the Europeans are going to start scurrying around the African coast here, and of course that's where you have the age of exploration going on, or the age of discovery, quote unquote. But you still have a lot of people, especially in the Italian states and the Constantinople area, willing to trade with this big, huge Islamic bloc right here. Alright, so Trans-Sahara, what do you got going on? You've got a lot of trade going within this area, but you also have trade outside this area, and it's predominantly gold and salt. This particular map, you have the Mali Empire right here. Okay, there's other empires that are going to spring up, and we'll talk about them in class later, but you have inner trade going on. You've got a little bit of trade going on here with the Mali Empire, but essentially what you got is this empire right here shooting up north, shooting up through the Sahara, looking for obviously oases along the way, and they're predominantly trading salt, ivory, slaves, and gold, but it's again mostly salt and gold. And this gold is going to wind up in Europe, and most predominantly in upper people's hands, but also in the church's hand. And so a lot of northern Europeans are going to say to themselves, where's all this salt and gold coming from? And they're going to finally figure it out, and that's why you're going to have them starting to go along the coast here, looking to trade and trade with these Africans. Biggest city probably during this time period is this city right here, Timbuktu. Okay, Timbuktu right there. That's probably the biggest cultural and cultural center for this particular area or region. So keep that in mind, because we'll mention Timbuktu a couple of times throughout the course. Here's a map that kind of once again um, talks about trade during this time period. You have a lot of trade going on. You've got, but it's mostly when you're talking about the sea route. You're mostly talking about bulky items, and that's where you're going to get in black pepper, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, grain, spices, nutmegs, and so on. So, but there's a problem here because of the Indian Ocean. I'm going to explain it in just a minute, but you have all these different products flowing into India, and then from India they're pretty much going to Africa. So India really becomes the warehouse of the trade route between Europe and Africa and China. And a lot of these are spices, and so Africans and people in Europe are going to start be saying to themselves, where are all these spices coming from? And eventually they're going to obviously figure it out. And once again, going back to that map of Islam, they're going to start saying to themselves, how can we get around this Islamic problem? Because we don't want to trade with the Islamic people. So this map kind of does a really good job of illustrating trading, okay, in this particular region. So I love this map because it shows a lot of different things, but it shows you, all the different places and all the different sea routes that are going on in South China and in Indonesia and places like that. And if you notice, almost all of them wind up in India right here. And like I said, the problem is that these people over here got to get to India before the monsoon rains come or after the monsoon rains come, because if you notice right here where it says November, February, and April and September, there's these trade winds that occur in the Indian Ocean basin. And from November to February, they're going from India to Africa. And then in April and September, they're going from Africa back to India. So the people that are over here, they got to make sure that they get over here in time to go this way. And then, of course, they reverse course. They go from here back to India, and then, of course, back to China. And so these trade routes help out, facilitate, the going back and forth. There is a couple months in there where the monsoons don't occur, and so by that time, all these people over here have got to do all their trading and get their goods and everything, and then of course going back the other way. So it's a choreographed, in a sense, amongst all these traders and what they have to do when they have to leave and so on. So they know when they have to leave, how many months it's going to take to get from one place to another place, and vice versa. This particular map again shows, this is actually from reading in one of the books, but it does a really good job of showing circuits of world trade during this time period. And it also shows where the Black Death probably occurred and where it spread to. And the reason why I like this map a lot is that it shows overlapping trade areas amongst all these different trade routes. And so you have these people, again, trading in this particular area, and then of course it overlaps with another circle, and then another circle, another circle, and another circle, and so on. So again, one trader is not going all the way across. They're trading these goods back and forth to one another, and of course as they do so, the price of these goods increases. Okay, saying that, you also have, as I mentioned before in class, you've got religion and culture and language and ideas and technology and a conglomerate of different byproducts of the actual trading of goods itself. And so ideas that are over here in China will eventually leap over here to Europe and vice versa, or in Africa and so on. And of course, you've got, like I said, the spreading of a lot of cultural, quote unquote, diffusion during this time period. Camels are used in both the trade routes. This is a fairly good example or a picture of camels. Camels are, as I mentioned, they're not very pleasant animals, but they you don't they can go long distances without any food or water. They can We can put a lot of things on them. They're very sturdy animals. They're very reliable animals in that respect. They can carry a lot. Not very fast, but when you have big, huge caravans of people of a couple hundred or 200 people and camels going in one direction, okay, a lot of products can be moved back and forth. So this is around the land routes. Here's an ancient Chinese junk. That's what it's called. And this would be your pretty typical standard ship that's going in the Indian Ocean basin. Is it the only one? No. Are all ships like this? Of course not. This is an example of one. And so in the hulls of their ships, they can carry a lot of products going back and forth. But this would be your pretty standard ship during these time periods that we're talking about, going from China to India and then from India back to China and India to Africa and so on. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. What I want you guys to do now is there's 3 videos from John Green that talks about all of these things, and then what I want you guys to do is take notes on these as well. And then, of course, what I want you guys to do is turn in your notes on the due date that I tell you. So there's one on the Silk Road, there's one on the Indian Ocean Basin, and there's one on Trans-Sahara trade routes, and John Green does a really good job of talking about each one. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks for listening.